As I'm getting ready to shoot this wedding tomorrow, I just want to talk about my process and how I go through it and how I prepare for every wedding. And maybe it will help you out as you prep for your day. Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is John and I'm a full-time engineer, part-time photographer and videographer. And I'm actually in the process of prepping for a wedding that I have tomorrow, about 3 hours from where I am today. And as I'm getting my gears ready, I had to get some new SD cards for this job because the old one is time to trade out. And I think I have a video coming up in the near future talking about how often you should trade out your cards, which to me is quite often because it faulted out on me at the last wedding and it made me a little nervous. As I'm getting ready to shoot this wedding tomorrow, I just want to talk about my process and how I go through it and how I prepare for every wedding. And maybe it will help you out as you prep for your day. So I don't want to go too much into this, but for me, prepping has two stages, the mental stage and the physical stage. And that physical stage breaks down even more. And I'm not going to go into the mental stage. Mental stage too much because it sounds weird, but it really does make a difference for me. Part of the mental stage is about a month out, I would have a call with the bride to check in on her. You know, sometimes I book weddings with these brides 8 months, 10 months, a year out. And so it's a good time to touch base and talk about her day and how she's envisioning it and what she's thinking. Then about a week out before the wedding, I would actually research the venue, think about, is the ceremony going to be inside, is it outside, is it a mixture, and how I'm going to shoot and what I'm going to shoot with. Is it going to be a 70 to 200 for a long ceremony? Is it going to be a 50 if it's inside a barn? And what I'm going to do at each scenario, because that helps me when I need to prep for the gear and bring what I need to bring, so I don't bring everything. I also go through and think about what kind of lights I'm going to bring. Am I going to bring these LED panel because it's going to be a big party? Am I going to bring these for dancing, or do I need to bring the big light? Generally, I don't travel with these big lights unless I absolutely have to. And most of the time I would only travel with these for like an event where I know I have to set up to shoot portraits. More than that, I don't bring these because it's big, it's cumbersome. So let me say this and get it out there. For me to prep for a wedding, it's probably going to be different than you if you shoot wedding full time. I only do this part time, so I don't shoot it all the time. So it's probably going to be a little different. What I mean by that is my batteries may not always be charged. My gimbal may not always be charged because I don't want to keep it charged all the time. I don't plug it up. So for me to get ready for a wedding, actually make sure that everything is charged or the cards are wiped because I don't do it all the time. And so for me, it's not so much about packing because I have a really good system of packing, how I'm going to pack in my cases. I'm going to show you in a minute, but it's more about charging. Make sure I have everything charged, make sure that when I show up, everything's ready to go. An example for that is I would only use my gimbal at wedding. I don't use it at any other time. So for me to keep it charged all the time doesn't make sense. So what I do is I charge it the day before. So after I get home from a wedding, I generally just let it sit there until the next wedding, then I get it ready to go again. Most of the time, my weddings are on Saturday. And so typically 2 days before the weddings, I would start getting ready after all the mental stuff has been worked through. So 2 days before, that's Thursday night, I started getting ready, getting things charged up. So that brings me to the first physical part of this process, which is the charging process. The second part is the packing process. So 2 days before, I would start getting things ready to go. I would start charging up batteries for my cameras, charge up batteries for my microphones, for the lights, and charge up the gimbal. Make sure all of that is ready so when I pack on Friday, then everything is ready to pack. And most of the time, for me to approach something like this, I do it somewhat systematically. And keep in mind that I'm an engineer, so I do things a little different. Systematically, I charge things that I know I'm not going to use between Thursday and Friday. I put those on a charger. Before that, I pick out the long lead items that will take some time to charge. These massive heavy batteries right here, and most of you probably use it, some kind of Sony battery. These take like 8 hours to charge. I usually put them on Thursday night because I have 2 sets and I charge 1 set Thursday through the night, and if that's done, then Friday before I leave for work, I charge it again. So by the time I get home Friday, like now, it's done, it's ready to go in the case. Some other stuff that I tend to charge on a Thursday night are like these AA batteries where I know I won't use it and it goes inside of the recorder, and I know that by Friday when I pack it, it's ready to go. Because I only have one charger for these batteries along with the smaller AAA batteries from the same company, I have to prioritize which one I charge. So I charge these first. The other thing is the gimbal. I charge the gimbal on Thursday night because I know that I'm not going to use it on Friday, so I just go on and put it on the charger. The other thing I always do is make sure I trade out all of my batteries. So things like this lavalier mic battery, It uses a AAA battery, but I always trade it out, even if it's 90% full from the last wedding. One of my biggest fears is that when I show up, something would die and I would not have time to charge it. One of the few things that I generally leave until Friday night to charge, if I need to, if I don't have any space on the charger left, are things like my drone. I know that the batteries will charge overnight, no problem. Controller and batteries for my camera. Because I know that there's a possibility, like today when I'm recording this video, or tonight when we go to dinner and I might take my camera with me. But I do tend to charge a couple every night since I have a lot of them to charge before the wedding. On Friday night, most of the time, unless something happens, I tend to pack my case, which is the second part of this physical process. Basically, each one of these slots has its own thing in it, and I know when something is missing. So here, I know this is my ceremony and dancing lights. These are the 4 batteries that I mentioned to you. My recorder, I know that it's here. And here are my extra lights and it's not here, so I know that it's on the charger. Some cables for my audio recorder. This is where the drone goes, so I know that the drone is not charged. So because some of the case is empty, I also know that things are missing. The other part that I also bring with me on a wedding day is my backpack, which has all the camera gears in it. This is a Peter McKinnon 35-liter bag, and in here, this is where the accessory goes. This is where the main camera goes. The 50mm 7-200, my backup camera, and then accessories here. So looking at all of that, that's how I know what I have and what I don't have. Obviously, I still have a lot left to pack over here. That doesn't go, but all these have got to be charged tonight, and that's why they're out here. By packing the way I do, I know that when there's something missing, I know exactly what it is. Like in camera, I know that my main body's missing, the microphone's missing, the lavalier mics are missing, and I could go and look for it. The one thing I always do before every wedding is I start pulling stuff out and sitting it on the table like you see right now. Everything that I know that has to go to the wedding. So Saturday morning, if I'm running late, if I'm running early, I always know what I have and don't have before I leave. This right here is my tripod bag. So on a wedding day, I typically travel with 2 lightweight tripods and 2 of these camera tripod. In the past, I've had to make 8 to 10 trips every wedding to take all these tripods in and out because I can only carry 2 at a time, and the backpack and all that. This is my first time using this bag, and I'm hoping that with this I can pull the Pelican case on one hand, pull the tripod bag on the other hand, have my camera bag on me, and that would be a 1 or 2 trip kind of deal. Oh, and the other thing I want to show you is how I pack my battery case. This is my battery case, and each one of these has a cover on it. I don't know why, just kind of protect it. But in here I have 4 batteries, so I know that one is missing, it's on a charger. Throughout the day, when it looks like this, it means it's ready to go. If I have one of these, said this battery's about to die and I trade it out, I would put the new one into the camera and the old one on here, and I turn it upside down. So I know that when I go back in, this is dead and this is good. So these are all ready to go because I charged them last night. And the reason that I take the time to get ready Thursday night and Friday night is because on Saturday, sometimes I leave at 7, sometimes I leave at 8, sometimes I leave at 9. And say in the morning, I'm eating breakfast with the baby. I don't have to constantly worry about, did I get this pack? Did I get that pack? Is that charged? Is that not charged? I know that by the time I go to bed Friday night, most of everything, if not already packed, and if it's not, I leave the case or the backpack open to remind me, hey, that's not done. And then I look at it and I know what's charged and what's not charged. Then I take the last minute part and I put it into my case. When I get up on Saturday morning, before the baby is even up, that's what I do. I pack everything and then I close it. But the crazy person in me and the OCD person in me will always check it again and again before I leave. Sometimes I put everything in the trunk and then I would pull the case back out, open it up and look at it. Okay, everything is full where it's supposed to be. I close it, then I go. I hate to get there and then forget something, you know? Just a quick video to tell you about my packing process. If you're new here, I'm glad you're here. If you've been here before, thank you so much. Hope you subscribe, help me grow this channel. Hope you come back. Leave me a comment below to tell me how you pack for your day and see if this process is good.